Alright, so to do a gradated wash, so basically gradated wash is when you have maybe two different colors or maybe two different values that gradate to or transition into each other. The goal for a really good gradated wash is that you see that transition seamlessly. So you don't want to see like a line that just stops or an edge that just stops and then all of a sudden it's a lighter color or a different color. So this is something that takes some practice, but the trick to this is that you are working on wet paper. I'm going to be doing it in my sketchbook, so you guys will see that because I'm in my sketchbook, the paper is going to wrinkle quite a bit. You're not going to see this happen on your watercolor paper as much because it's just heavier and it's been stretched. Okay, so I'm going to be using the cerulean blue for the demo, and you can see up here at the top, I was just kind of swatching some washes. So I've got like a darker one and a lighter one. So basically what I want to do is I want to blend these two together. Okay, so I just did that beforehand. The very first thing you're going to do, and this is the trick, you want to make sure that you're working with clean water. Now when I when I sit down to do watercolor painting, I actually have 2 buckets of water. I have a big bucket, which I call my dirty bucket, and then I have a like big mason jar. That's like my clean water. So I have my dirty water and my clean water. So when I wash my brushes off, I initially wash them off in the dirty bucket water. So that's just the one I always go to first. And then I kind of do a final rinse in the clean water, which is the one that I have in the mason jar. So it just prevents me from having to always keep replacing my water, but also too, it keeps the water that's on my brush clean. I'm not contaminating the colors. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I've got these little spaces I'm going to work in. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to kind of hold my, let's see if I can do that. I just made a drop. I'm going to hold my sketchbook at an angle. So this is important because gravity is your friend on this technique, okay? So you want to prop your sketchbook up if you want to practice your sketchbook first. But when you're working on your paintings are already propped up, so you don't really have to worry about that. But you want the gravity to push the paint down. So I'm going to go darker at the top and lighter at the bottom, okay? So I'm going to start with just clean water. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of take this water and apply it horizontally. That's the way I want it to kind of look. And just make sure. And just give that water just a little bit of time to kind of soak into the paper. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I am going to take, I'm going to see if I can prop this up a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start with my darker color. So I'm going to start with my dark cerulean blue. And I'm going to start with just putting a strip up here at the top. And again, if you guys look, because of gravity, it's starting to pull the paint down. So without grabbing new paint, I'm going to continue brushing it down. And what the paint's going to do is it's going to follow where the water is. The paint will go wherever the water is. And you can kind of see how the paint's getting a little lighter as I go down because I have less and less paint on my brush. I'm going to go ahead and kind of wash that off. And I'm going to continue to kind of encourage the paint to come down. And I'm going to keep brushing over that transition spot. And I'm just going to keep building it up. So I'm going to go back to my dark again. Put another band up here. And continue to make it kind of darker. And drag it down. If you notice, I haven't grabbed any more paint since I started that second. But I just keep pulling it down. And again, you can kind of see my sketchbook paper is kind of buckling. It's just because it's sketchbook paper. Go all the way down. I'm going to get some more paint here. I want it even darker. And so I just keep starting at the top and I just keep adding more paint, and I want to just keep getting it darker and darker. Actually, I don't think I need to brush it off anymore. But you can see how that paint, because the paper is wet, just blends out. So this is where you take advantage of the wet paper. And this is the secret. You know, anytime you want anything to blend, you paint on wet paper. Ooh, I like that. And again, just keep your sketchbook or your board propped up, and then gravity will pull the paint down and help it, you know, fall down. So yeah, you keep going, you know, depending on how dark or how light you want it to go. But that's how you grade it, okay? You kind of let gravity and the water do the work for you. And you just put the paint down and let the rest happen on its own. All right? So that's it.